Way back in 1958, two thinkers, Robert Tannenbaum and Warren Schmidt, came up with a leadership model that is, believe it or not, more important today than ever. They even gave it a refresh in 1973. It's essentially a guide for leaders trying to find that sweet spot between control and real empowerment. So today, we're going to dive deep into their incredible leadership continuum.
All right, let's just get right to the heart of it. If you're a manager, especially a new one, you wrestle with this question every single day. Do I step in and take charge, or do I step back and let the team run with it? It feels like you have to pick one or the other, right? But what if I told you that's, well, completely the wrong way to look at it?
You see, the best leaders, the really effective ones, they don't get stuck in that either-or trap of being either the tough boss or the cool hands-off manager. They understand that leadership isn't one-size-fits-all. It's a whole toolkit, and the real secret is knowing exactly which tool to pull out for the right job with the right team at the right moment.
And that, right there, is the magic of the Tannenbaum Schmidt continuum. It completely throws out that old black and white view. Instead, it gives us this dynamic, flexible spectrum. It shows us that leadership is really just a series of deliberate choices you make, day in and day out, about how much authority you hold on to and how much freedom you give your team.
So, I want you to think of this spectrum as your personal roadmap. It lays out 7 very distinct styles, and each one is like a milestone on the journey from a totally boss-centered approach all the way over to a team-centered one. Let's walk through these styles.
What's so brilliant here is how you can see the power shifting. It's so clear. We start all the way on the left with tell. The manager has 100% of the control. But as we move to the right, you see that control start to get shared. You go from sell, where you at least explain why you made a decision, to suggest, where you open the floor for questions. Then you hit consult, a big step, where you actually ask for feedback to make the decision better. This path takes you all the way to delegate, where the team calls the shots within certain rules, and even abdicate, where they own the whole process. It's a journey of trust.
Let's really zoom in on the two extremes for a second, because the difference is huge. On one end, you have tell. This is all about speed, all about clarity. Think of an emergency. There's no time for a committee meeting. The leader decides, announces, and the team just does it. But on the complete opposite end, you have delegate, which is all about empowerment. Here, the leader's job is just to set up the guardrails. What's the problem and what are the boundaries? After that, the team has the freedom to figure it out and make the final decision. The level of autonomy is just night and day.
But, the really interesting stuff, the subtle shifts, happen right in the middle of this spectrum. That move from sell to consult is absolutely pivotal. In the sell style, the decision is already made. Your goal is just to get everyone to buy in. But with consult, you're genuinely opening the door to collaboration. You're saying, here's what I'm thinking, but I might be wrong. What do you all see? This is the exact moment you start tapping into the true power of your team's collective brain.
Okay, so you see all these styles laid out, and you're probably thinking, great, but how on earth do I pick the right one? Well, you don't just go with your gut. Tannenbaum and Schmidt gave us this amazing diagnostic compass, basically 3 key forces you need to look at to make the right call every single time. Think of this as your quick, in-the-moment checklist. Before you make a move, you look inward at yourself, you look outward at your team, and you look around at the context. Nailing the balance between these 3 is the secret sauce to being a truly adaptable leader.
So what are we actually looking at here? Well, first, there's the manager. That's you. What are your values? How much risk can you stomach? Next, you assess your people. How experienced are they? Are they ready and willing to take on more responsibility? And finally, you look at the situation. Is there a tight deadline? How complex is the problem? What's the company culture like? For example, if your team is a little green but really eager and the task is complex but not urgent, you might shift from sell to suggest, using their questions as a way to teach and build their confidence.
And out of those 3 forces, the one that's almost always the hardest to deal with is the first one, the forces inside the manager. Sometimes the biggest thing stopping you from empowering your team is you.
This is so important. Your ability to move to the right side of this chart, towards delegation and real empowerment, is 100% tied to your own mindset. If your internal compass is just stuck on control, it doesn't matter how amazing your team is, you'll never truly let go. So what does this internal resistance actually look like? Well, it could be a deep-seated belief that the boss knows best. It could just be a lack of trust in your team's skills. But honestly, a huge barrier for so many managers is a low tolerance for risk. To empower people means you have to accept that they might do things differently than you would. It means you have to get comfortable with a little bit of ambiguity. And for a lot of us, that's really tough.
So the big question is, how do you get past that? How do you move to the right on this chart? Well, it's all about putting a specific philosophy into practice, something called Theory Y. This is the real engine that drives empowerment. And what is Theory Y? It's actually a pretty simple and, I think, a really positive view of people. It's the core belief that people are naturally motivated. They want to take responsibility and do great work. They don't need to be controlled. They need to be trusted. Once you start operating from that assumption, moving from tell towards delegate stops feeling like a risk. It feels like the most logical thing in the world.
Let's get super clear on how this plays out at the far end of the spectrum, because the difference between join and delegate is massive. With join, you are right there in the mix, collaborating as part of the team to make a decision together. But with delegate, you take a crucial step back. You set the problem, you define the boundaries, but the team, not you, gets the final say. You're still accountable for the outcome, of course, but you are not the one making that final call. That is a profound power shift.
And that's really the whole point of this model. This isn't just about picking a style for a task today. It's a developmental roadmap. The true goal of any great leader is to build up your team's skills, trust, and confidence so that you can all operate further and further to the right. That is how you build a legitimately high-performing, autonomous team.
So, I want to leave you with this question. Take a hard look at this map. Think about your team, your projects, your own tendencies. Where on this continuum are you spending most of your time right now? And maybe even more importantly, to build the team you know you need for the future, where do you need to be tomorrow?